All right, good morning over there. I'll convene the May 16th, 2023 Rprc meeting. It's 9:33. All right, did Jocelyn send out the minutes? I don't remember if she did or not. You guys take a look at them.
I don't think I saw.
I don't see. Okay, so then we'll put that on the next.
Approval minutes May second, it's on the, see the invite?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
yeah, yeah.
You guys-
I didn't take a look at it, I'm opening it now. Yeah, it's there, so.
Oh,
yeah.
So that, I reviewed those and they're, yeah, they're.
Yeah.
So
I take.
I'll make a motion to adopt the May 2nd meetings.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the first regular item for discussion is for Northridge. Morning. How are you? You with us?
Good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Hear you fine.
Great.
All right. You want to take
Camera
us
doesn't-
through?
Give me a second. Put a face to a name. There you go.
Yeah. You want to take us through the plans? You have them or
Of course. Yeah, they're in front of me. So thank you for having us looking at the project. So this is a property my wife and I purchased in October. It's a home that's been in the area. It's in need of renovation. It's going to be our primary residence. My wife and I want to move in once it's done. We have a young daughter and a baby, a month old, so I'm a little tired. Get the house up to really modernize it. Just change the layout, let it flow a little bit, get a little more light in there. Traditional colonial.
want to share?
So I had some technical issues. I'm on an iPad and I'm looking at it. Sorry, I appreciate that.
Oh, no problem. Okay, so here you can see the existing house.
Yep.
And this
That's
is
our lot.
Yep, and this is the location of the major addition.
Correct.
Squaring the house.
How many square feet they posing?
Square feet. Do you know off the top of how many square feet? this-
I want to say 960 between the first and second floor. Just the way it's laid out now.
Any basement? Yes, you're expanding the basement too.
So because we have to come up from the basement. So there will be basement space at this point. It's just empty. It's not empty space, right? It's a basement to keep doing. It should be the same as what is there. We thought about leaving that unexcavated, but honestly, we would have to infill to kind of, because we're already ground level out there. So it just made sense to.
No. Yeah, understand why.
Health department.
Yeah.
Be required for.
Yeah,
They
So
already. Okay.
exactly. So the architect had a conversation with the engineer who looked at our plans, and where the septic was, the size of the septic is fine for our bedroom count and our needs. The issue was the setbacks to the proximity of the home. So they had the conversation. We hired an engineer who drew it up. He put out all the fields, put out all the boxes, and they basically said, you just got to move it away from the home. So that's where it's been proposed, and we're just waiting for them to accept that. But they didn't see any major issues with it's basically an existing water treatment system that just needs the tank to be moved. It made more sense to put in a new tank than drag the older tank, even though it's only 10 years old or 12 years old. It was easier for the excavating company to just dig a new hole, remove the old one, and reattach stuff. So we should expect approvals from them relatively soon.
Okay, and then.
That's a good elevation there. Yeah.
So existing, proposed.
Yeah.
From the front. And, you know, they're changing the style of architecture, but it matches what's across the street. And
Yeah.
there's a similar house.
So that was a little bit of, exactly, that was a little bit of the inspiration. And we know Windmill Farms has got this, the architect that's worked there for years, who's our neighbor on the rear of Hardscrabble Road. I don't remember his name off the top of the head at the moment. And that's a very contemporary style for him. And he's done a bunch of homes in the Windmill Farms eras. And we liked it. We just want to, Colonial's pretty. For us, we think that it's just tougher to get some of that light in there, especially in the back. So that's why we wanted to go with, you know, it's A-frame inspired, a little inspired, right? But really, it's going to be a contemporary home.
Yep. This is the rear elevation.
Yeah. So and we really, again, the home is fine. We thought we could do more with than just have one of these giant. It looks like a squash court back there, you know, and bumping it out, squaring it out, just made the most sense for what we want to accomplish. And really internally to just lay out some of the common spaces, just be more generous with the common spaces, just have a better grand entrance to the property and just get more light in there. We're surrounded, Adam was on site, we're surrounded by tall pines on the north and the south. We have big tree line in the back. So our light, we are trying to get more light in there, and I think this is how the architect wanted to accomplish that.
Nobody from ARB's here.
And these are the side elevations. So this is the elevation where the addition is.
Yeah.
Right. So that was, you know, that's my biggest comment. You know, here, this is not a flat plane, obviously, right? You've got the different portions of the house. So now the closest elevation is, you know, is this new facade. And you've got existing mature trees along the property line and some topography to deal with too. So there's no real easy way to screen this. So, right. You know, I don't.
But is that grade accurate?
Is that grade accurate? Yeah.
Yeah, relatively.
It could be deemed a 3-story building.
Yeah, I have that.
So we did the calculations. We walked around and we're not past that number. And the grading for the proposed building will cover up a lot more of that backside, but we weren't past the 50% at all. We weren't close.
Now, what are you talking?
Just got to check the New York State Building Code and it's not the same. I don't believe the New York State Building Code is the same as town code for
correct.
For
our architect John Sinisi looked at that, and he looked at he definitely saw it. It was a 2.5 story. We have nothing in the attic. It's just mechanical space, and then the basement. We don't have the height of. We're below 7 feet everywhere. I think our highest point is 7 feet. So even though it looks kind of tall from the drawings, the basement is not that high.
So is there an action for what you're asking for, Rob? When you say
well, if he met the code on the state building code for 3rd story,
we don't. Yeah, we don't.
So he's just got to be careful. I'm looking at the grade. To me, just by eye, looking at how this is laid out, it could be very close.
We'll make sure that grade on that. Sorry, we'll make sure the grade, the way he's got it drawn there is probably won't end up like that. He was just trying to keep it that way, but that bottom window also doesn't need to be there on the basement. So I think it's just how interpreted. But we were below that 50% on what would make that above grade on the third floor, on the basement, sorry.
I just want to check something.
I mean, is it
Sure.
from existing grade or is it from proposed grade?
It's from proposed,
That's from proposed.
Proposed,
So like,
actually.
I forget when I was in Mamaroneck, it was existing grade.
but
No matter what you do.
No matter what you do, it always started at existing grade.
Alright.
Yeah.
And that was one of our comments too, to show some proposed grading. on the
right, so
site.
in the 1 acre zone, there's not a limit on the number of stories. So even if it is deemed a story per our town code, in the R1A to the R4A, there's no limit. They just have to meet the height,
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah.
But yeah, for the building
for the
code,
state code, yeah, I just want to just make sure that we're not a third story for fire sprinklers. I don't
No,
remember what it says. off the
Sorry,
top of my head.
I know off the top of my head, it's a conversation John and I had, because that was, would it be deemed this way? And he spent time confirming that we wouldn't be going towards that direction at all. So I think the grading is what you're looking at now, but that will not be, we'll make sure to clean that up. And if you want to do the calculations around the perimeter to show that we're not that third floor, we can get that in there as well.
And the other thing is fill. If are you bringing in fill?
We shouldn't need to. But I would have to have a conversation with John. I recall we didn't.
yeah, but if you do, you'll need to get a fill permit, if
Sure.
50,
Yeah, more than
Cubic
50
yards.
yards.
get a fill permit from the building department. You
No
definitely
problem.
don't want to mess with that.
No, we
Um,
won't. And if it has to be infilled, obviously we'll make sure that gets done.
And it's okay, I just, you just have to get the permit.
Yeah.
Have you done any soil checks to see if there's rock or anything where you're gonna be putting the addition?
Yeah, we already did, and the engineer looked at that stuff because just to see where the best place was for the septic, and there was no rock outcroppings. They're all behind the property.
Okay, so you won't need a chipping permit then.
No, we will not.
All right, the other comments, though, let's get back to that, have to do with the parking area. My suggestion was to keep the driveway as it is. And then that affords a bit more room to maneuver and to potentially have some guest parking. That was my thought there.
We're obviously, for us, I think, we thought of the aesthetic, we liked the gravel. So we figured we would leave that retaining wall and then just infill with some gravel. But I think the landscaping is something we're gonna have to give a little more thought through, just when the
Why do you
homes already
say-
come together.
Why do you say gravel? When we look at the plans, it doesn't show that.
No, it doesn't. Gravel is something we thought we would do later on because it wasn't part of this scope. For now, we just had the home drawn the way it was to.
So I think we're saying the same thing. So you'll keep the wall and it will either be paved or gravel. I don't really have a preference. It doesn't matter, whatever you want.
Yeah, I think that was just, we were inundated with a lot of choices at this stage, and we thought a clean, straight driveway, and then if we think it's too tight, that we'd get into the landscaping of that side of the property. Also on the south side of the property, we need to do landscaping as well. So that's kind of how we were punting a little bit, but we can address it now if that makes sense.
I'd
And
say keep it.
we could also keep it,
Yeah, keep it, and if you want to change the treatment of the surface, that's okay.
Okay. Then, yeah, that's probably what we'll do.
We talked about the rear elevation. And so I think the last issue for me, and then we can go to specific engineering, is what should we do along this property line for additional screening, if anything? I haven't really come up with a good solution here. You put a fence there, it's not really going to screen much of the new house.
You go to Street View
Yeah, I have a street view.
to see what it's.
I had a conversation with John about it. He's like, look, we could infill with some hollies, with some of these screening.
Arborvitae or something.
Yeah, bushes that would give some of that, but at the same time, he's like, look, the canopy on some of these trees just needs to cleaned up a little bit to make everything kind of look nicer. Right now, I mean, nothing's been done for the property and landscaping in years. So I think just trimming things up will present a lot better. And it's,
So this is
Yeah.
what we're talking. So you see these trees here,
Yeah,
they're very tall.
yeah,
you're not
And
gonna be able, there, it's gonna wanna grow, right?
exactly, it's all shaded, completely shaded.
Yeah.
I think there's not much to do other than, it's not like the applicant's doing anything
No.
wrong.
They're not taking any trees.
They're
down,
not,
right?
they're
Yeah.
taking 2 trees
Two
down,
trees.
but
right. There's a small maple and a larger oak, and the engineer said that oak is pretty much right over our leach fields, and he'd prefer it not be there. So that's why it's a beautiful tree. We'd want to keep it, but he said it wasn't, we really shouldn't. That tree's been neglected for a long time, and it's going to make its way towards our leach field. So that was a precaution. It's in the rear. It wouldn't help in the screening of the other neighbor at all, because it's not in that line of sight.
Yeah,
this is the property line we're talking about here.
yeah, I'm fine with it.
So
And-
I think we leave it, and then, if you want to do something in the future, it's okay, but I think the cure is gonna be worse than the disease here, so I think we just leave it.
Okay, that's fine. If we come up with a solution, obviously we'll submit it to you guys as
Wouldn't even need to do that.
no, for a fence
Unless
though.
you're moving the trees. Unless
No,
you're taking,
at this point, I mean, the charm of this lot is just how wild it
Yeah.
feels. It's a very manicured neighborhood, but this lot still feels quite wild with its elevation. So we really like that. We don't want to touch that.
all right, engineering issues you want to touch upon, Tony?
Big thing we had was, we already touched upon at the health department, treating the stormwater for the increase. And just giving a little bit of proposed grading on the site plan. And
Okay.
even further stand the heights of the
Yep.
building.
Okay, will do.
So is everyone okay to the building department?
Yeah, was there an action based on Rob's, as just on the height? Is there a?
They're going to provide whatever information when they pull the
Okay.
permit
Yeah,
on that. There's
Okay.
definitely not a zoning issue unless it's the definition of height, which I've asked for. So we'll show them the plans.
Mhm.
If they need to tweak something to get it to
Mhm.
meet the code, I'll have to do that. So,
Yeah, and
Okay.
those drawings, those calculations are in our drawings, and we are within, I think, 2.5, 3 feet of that maximum building height number. So on the back, right? Because there's nothing we can do on the back, but on the side, we're way below that. But yeah, we'll add additional grading to just make sure that third story does not come into play at all.
Yeah, but that, just so we're on the same page, right, that new addition on that rear elevation, which is the tallest, also has to comply with the town code. Are you saying
course.
it doesn't?
No, it
Oh,
does.
okay.
It does.
Oh.
It's already in the drawings we submitted, but for the future, the building department drawings, we'll make sure to get that grading,
I
additional
see.
grading details in there for, I thought that's what he was asking, sorry.
Yes, I think it was.
Can that oak be trimmed, resuscitated, refurbished? Is that is such a defining element in that whole area?
Well, the
Create,
problem is, he said he's cutting it because of the septic fields.
okay,
It's interfering with the septic field. I don't know how.
24-inch oak in the back corner there says to be removed. Is that the one you're referring to? If you go zoom into the site plan?
Yes, correct. Its proximity to the leach fields was a concern to the engineer. He'd much rather be gone. He feels like the roots are gonna have a lot of issues with the leach fields.
Strong oak, and it's a big oak, like, should be kept.
I
But
would love to keep it. I'm not, that's not a suggestion we made. We just didn't know how to mitigate. And moving leach fields would have been more challenging.
Of course.
It's hard to tell the leach fields being moved on this plan. Is that, it looks like the existing leach field?
Says-
Those are the existing leach fields, yeah. The only thing being moved is the tank, and that's it, how it connects from the house to the tank.
Moving it,
Yeah,
it's there.
yeah.
You're not expanding. I thought it was expanding the field. Why are you removing it if you're not expanding the fields?
We're relocating, so we can comply with the setbacks for the health department in terms of how close your tank can be to the house.
Right, but that's here. So the
Yeah.
tank's being moved from here to here. That's
Correct.
nowhere.
Not affecting the oak, though.
Are they making you move that trench, the first run?
No, we're not. We're close because the deck is pier, pylon pier. We're within the requirements. The oak the home has been occupied for years. It should have been tended to a long time ago, and some of those roots look like they're starting to head towards the leach field. That was the feedback we got from the engineer. We can revisit it. I'd like to keep it, but that was kind of how we presented to the health department. So
They trim it. And
Yeah,
do they
it's
got
such,
it,
it's such a defining, element to that neighborhood, the butters. The shade it creates.
that tree's in the rear. It really only, well, you can't even see it from anywhere because it's in 50, 60, 75 feet from the entrance. And then we have screening on the north side of the property with this huge tree line. So it is a beautiful tree. We just didn't know how to get around it.
It would sound like the question is if your engineer says that, or an arborist says it can be trimmed or pruned back and not interfere with the leach field.
Well, we leave it at that.
Yeah,
Sure, we absolutely will. We'll speak to an arborist, have him trim back as much as we can. It was the roots were the concern, but not the drip line. So
That's what I thought they were doing originally. I didn't realize the fields are all staying the same. I mean, I'm surprised that the health department's not gonna make them increase the fields because you're over 1,000 square feet.
That's what I thought it would trigger too.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the health department's not making you increase the fields because you're over 1,000 square feet of increase on the house.
we weren't doing any change to the bedroom count, and that was
Yeah, that doesn't matter. The bedroom count change doesn't matter. It's the square footage. If you're over 1,000, no matter what, they're gonna make you increase the septic system and the fields.
Well, they looked at it over 1,000.
Yeah,
And in this case, I guess they looked at it and said they were okay with it.
well, they haven't, no, he hasn't had an answer yet.
Okay.
They might say, yeah.
but so our
When I was
engineer.
reading to Greg's the other day, a finished basement or unfinished basement is counted now.
Yeah.
It's not exempted anymore.
Because they know how many people.
Yeah, so now that's why he's over 1,000.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I had this conversation with somebody the other day.
Well, look, if the health department comes back,
People used
It's
to
a
go by
storage.
doorways too, like
Yeah.
with your doorway.
but if the health department comes back and says you need additional fields, then you'll have to come back to us and we'll look at it. But if you're fairly confident, they've given you an okay, then yeah, we'll go
Yeah,
with
because then
this.
they're gonna go cut trees if they're.
Yeah,
gonna
that's why we
fields
look at
and
it.
everything. Yeah,
Okay, so I guess that's information we have to provide to the building department when we get our approvals from the health department anyway,
Right.
right? That it would be
Yeah.
contingent on that approval. We
Yep.
submitted it to try to get ahead of the
Yeah,
queue.
no.
Just
You're doing it fine. It's
did you
fine.
get did my department sign off on the septic plans to get it, to go to the health department? Because we have to stamp them for you to go to the health department.
So the research on the property, we asked for everything that you had, the building department had, and this was approved 12 years ago. When they put in the tank, they just didn't put it where it was drawn up and approved. So all we asked was to relocate it.
No, yeah. But any application to the health department has to get signed off by the building department before you can make an application.
So we hired an engineer. His name is Jack Carell. He had the relationship with the Westchester Department of Health, and he had the conversation with them. And this is how he proposed we address it. I'm not sure if he went through your office for it. I can check with him. All I
Yeah,
know-
if you could just double check, because in order for the health department to sign off on the plans, we have to sign off on it first to be able for you even to apply to the health department. So just double check with him and make sure that he got our stamp, because you may have to come back, let us stamp it and then give it to the health department, because they're not going to give you an approval without our stamp on it saying you can move forward. So just double check with him.
Sure. And the conversation there was, we wanted guidance on what that would take, because it could have been a limiting factor for our design, but that's why the conversation was had early. But yeah, we'll make sure to get that done as well.
Okay, so now I'll make a motion to send this to the building department.
I'll second that.
Jim Jensen, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we'll post all the comments and the next steps, and we'll post that later today on the RPRC website.
Perfect.
Okay,
Thank you, everybody.
all right,
Take
all
care.
right, take care.
Good
Bye.
luck.
Okay.
Not a fan of the style though.
Yeah.
The front, I didn't like the way the front looked too plain. It didn't have anything to it. I don't know.
We're getting into it.
But-
It's first phase.
Yeah.
right? First bite at the apple. Give them time before kids out of the way.
Okay,
Definitely.
good
Nice piece of
morning.
property, though. Looks like a nice piece of
That's
property.
fine. Safe.
John and Ross, you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay. John, you want to take us through the plans? Or not?
With 5 Anthony Court.
Yeah.
This is back.
Yeah, we looked at this last time for a deck expansion. Now the applicant is looking to put a pool on the side yard, and everything looks okay. Just share the screen a minute.
It's a, they call it a swim spa. It's kind of like a hot tub on steroids.
Hey, John, do you have the plans you want to share, or do you want me to do it?
Sure of the water, that's what I want.
Sure, it's warm. The hot tub on
Right,
steroids.
so here's the existing deck, they're expanding the deck, and here is an existing pool, I guess that's gonna be swapped out with a new one, right, Ross?
Yes, that's correct.
The in-ground or?
It's an above ground unit, I'll show you guys. So it's gonna be installed here, right here, and then a new walkway on this side. Here's the,
Oh, it's fiberglass, yeah.
so I don't have any really concerns here, other than John, on your site plan. Where here? If you zoom in, just show that that corner is not violating that side yard setback. See that? Can you hear, John, can you, we don't hear you. John. John, I don't think your microphone's hooked up, we can't hear you. But anyway, corner. Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, so
Okay.
you see that corner?
Yeah, no, I see it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to move it over, maybe.
Yep.
Okay.
Anything on your end?
Just the stormwater for the increase, impervious surface or the 6-inch drawdown on the pool, whatever's greater. It's a smaller pool, you probably, won't be many units.
Why would you have to do anything for an increase if you've done 250 square feet?
Well, it's between the patio too, right?
Yeah, what is the total, John, square feet?
I believe I was under the 250.
Yeah.
So if I'm under the 250, we don't need to do it. If I'm over it,
Right,
it's the total amount.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I do, yeah. You
So
can
just-
find the time.
yeah, give those calcs to, so the engineer can review
Yeah.
that.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so-
I'll confirm them.
That's,
They're in there somewhere, but
Yeah, I mean, gate's gotta open outward, not inward.
okay,
Latch has got to be on the open side. If there's any doors leading out to the pool area, those have to be alarmed. You know, all of New York State Building Code stuff.
Even for an above ground?
Is it I don't know how tall it is. Is it under 4 feet? Over 4 feet?
No, it's over 4 feet. It's 4 feet.
Okay,
9.
so if it's over 4 feet, then it's considered an above ground pool. So then,
Considered
don't even
above
need
ground.
fencing, because the pool itself is the barrier.
Okay,
So,
Right, and then there's also a separate fence around the pool besides. But it's
Yeah.
above ground, so that should be.
does it have a flip down? You just gotta make sure if you have a flip down, like ladder, it's gotta be able to flip up and lock.
The ladder is actually, it's movable. It's not attached.
There's steps,
It's
right?
like steps.
Looks like a hot tub.
Is it, is it being heated?
Yeah,
Yes,
Okay, and you have a cover for it?
yes.
Okay. John, just make sure it meets the, energy code for the cover.
okay.
Ross, just curious, this is a big unit, how are they gonna get it there? Crane?
Flatbed with a crane, yeah.
Okay, nice.
Hmm.
Any
Yeah.
concerns?
Make a motion. to approve it.
All right, so. I'll second, all in favor?
What's that?
Aye.
It's an improvement.
Yeah, no, it looks all good, Ross, so,
All right, so I'll fix those.
yeah, we'll fix those things. The determination letter, later today, okay?
Okay. Perfect.
Take care, everyone. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay. And lastly, we've got. This was on our last, were you here the last time too?
No, I'm.
No.
Going between, yeah.
All right, 64 Jackson. He didn't know where the addition was. The applicant provided some more info. Let me just share this. We have everything now. It's clear. Where the addition is. So it is. Zoom in. Right here, right there. In that corner. So this was a screened-in porch, now it will just become a new season room. Oh, where's the- Hi, Bill. So I think everything looks fine. Any concerns? Nope. Okay, so I'll make a motion to send this to the building department.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, anything you want to say, Bill? Or are you all set?
No, I just got this notice, but as long as you're ready to approve it, I'm ready to accept that.
We approved it. We see where it is and we get it. So let's go on good.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care.
Right.
All right, with that being said, it is 10:06. I will make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second that.
In favor?
Aye.